Welcome to Jim Luck Studios.
Thank you, Matt.
Yeah.
Glad to be here.
We're super glad to have you here. I am dying to hear the story from the horse's mouth about your outboard fishing program and how it transitioned to sport fishing program. And I really hope that you'll include some of the stories of the BBC. A lot of that data on the internet has gotten lost. It's gone. And so we just love to hear that story. I know we both started out outboard fishing together, but you started long ago. So just tell us a story, dude. Tell us a fisherman's story.
Well, Matt, thanks for having me. Me and you fished together in the mackerel deal. And after a relentless pursuit to win the Angler of the Year and finishing fourth for multiple years, it just kind of wore me down. And so I took a break and went through life crisis and ended up venturing out into the billfish world. And I first went and chartered a boat here and there. And then I hooked up with my buddy Captain Glenn on the Floridian. It was one of his various boats at the time. And I went over, this was going to be maybe 2008-ish, 9, somewhere in there. And Glenn and I fished a BBC together in his boat. And I pretty much just rode along and paid the bill. And I really enjoyed it. It was a different type of fishing from the mackerel deal. And, of course, it was, back then I was so tournament focused. It was so the lure of the money, and I looked at all the guys and thought, man, this is it. And you get into you look at all the billfish teams and what they put into it. And I thought, man, this is it. This is the apex of fishing. And so I went out and I think I fished two with Glenn, and then I fished one other one. And I decided I'm going to find me a boat. And Glenn was chartering back then, and he had an owner, but he wasn't in the perfect spot. And so he kind of helped me, and we found the first Zeus, the Dean Johnson.
What size was that?
It was a 58. And so anyway, we found this boat and got it, and I made a commitment to, look, if we're going to do this, we're going to do it the right way. And so I let Glenn kind of design the schedule of how we were going to go about this. We weren't just going to go fish tournaments. I committed a whole season to a season approach of fishing, kind of like my hunting. I have a season of hunting, a season of fishing, and a season to work to pay for it all. But when I go off fishing, I try not to stop. And so what Glenn liked about my approach was we fish every day, and we would take off the day before the tournament, and then we would fish the tournament, and when that wrapped up, we would move to the next site, which we gravitated towards the Bahamas Billfish Championship. It was, at the time, the oldest and biggest organized series that was available. And so we started doing this. Tim Lanahan was already mating for Glenn when I chartered him. And so we bought the boat and then actually spent 6 months in the yard rigging the boat out, special freezer, special everything. And we geared up just to do this with bait. So Glenn's approach was he needed an owner committed to fishing, but what he really needed was a vehicle that could haul enough bait to take the dredge fishing approach that had been established in sail fishing with dredges and natural bait. And it was his idea to take that over to the Bahamas and throw it overboard. Blue marlin fishing, we call it. It's really slam fishing. The BBC was, the point system was sailfish, white marlin, blue marlin, with blue marlin bringing the most points, and then you got a bonus for slams. And so they were encouraging more release in the BBC at the time, because before that it was just kill blue marlins, the biggest, heaviest fish. And so about the time that we took the what at the time was a sailfish dredge over there, and we threw it out and just went faster. That's really all we did. We had the same rods. We started out with 20-pound gear.
Now, was everybody else generally fishing 80 wides and
Yeah.
pulling lures?
But we call them plug fishermen, plug pullers. And, we would, Matt, it was kind of funny. We would back into a tournament and get set up there, and the guys walking up and down the dock, and they would look at our gear and laugh. I mean, it was TLDs, the cheapest stuff you could buy, right? And little limber ass rods, and they kind of laughed at us. And believe it or not, me and Tim, we go inside and laugh at them because they're out there pulling the drag scale. We call it the track meet and stuff, And so anyway, we before we fished the first tournament, what I did was I said, Cap, look, he's got Timmy. I'd fished with him enough in the charter thing the years before to say, hey, man, this Timmy's good. And you got Cap, he's good. And at the time, I was good at paying for shit and fishing. I wanted to fish, not just tournament fish, but I was not any great billfish angler. I was a little confused back then about what it took to be a good billfish angler, and I didn't learn that until I went to the two-man program. And we'll kind of merge into that, but what I'm trying to do is take us through chronologically how this progressed, which would have been Glenn and Timmy and I, we modified the boat to haul enough bait. We put a giant freezer on the bridge, and Timmy made some modifications to the rigging to adapt to, hey, we're going to pull a little faster.
It's all circle hooks, right?
All circle hooks, all light line. Like I said, when we started out, I had a place in Chub Cay. So I said, guys, look, Cap, the newspaper articles and stuff are a little backwards on this one. Cap says, hey, let's go to Mexico where we can get a bunch of shots. And I wanted to go to Mexico like a hole in the head. So I said, hey, let's go to Chub Cay. I have a boat slip there, and we can set out there, and we can fish the pocket. And it's January about this point, and I think the first BBC was in May, April-ish. And so we go there. And this was going to be, I'm going to say, January, February of 2011. The boat did some sail fishing in the fall of 2010, and Glenn Timmy won everything they fished.
Oh, really?
But I was off hunting. Because I bought the boat, and I left to go whitetail hunting, my passion, and I let them do what they wanted to with it. And so we take off to Chub Cay along in February, and I'm going to say this is February 2011 is when I flew over there. They were already there, and we started fishing every day. And what Cap did was he kind of adjusted to the speed and the presentation and the effect of the dredges and the chains. The fish comes up on the dredge. You don't see it on the dredge. The way I learned this was you could look back there all you wanted, but you didn't see the fish behind the dredge. He came up to the dredge, and then he would eat what people now call the teaser. I've always called it the chain. And you remove the chain, and you got your ballyhoo back there. It rolls out and eats it. So we started fishing, and we fished almost 2 months straight. Took a day off here and there, but I was trying to get in the swing of things to learn how to really take a circle hook and get it down the hatch of the blue marlin came first. The white marlin super quick. I struggled a bit, and then the sailfish wasn't that hard because Timmy, the billfish swims in, eats the chain. Young guys with good eyes, they know sailfish, white marlin, blue marlin. So sailfish, you pretty much you just give it a little bit and just kind of let your bait go, and it picks it up. But the white marlin and the blue marlin, they want it swimming. And so you had to be a lot quicker for the white marlin. And we were using such light line back then, it was easier for me to learn because, the billfish grabs the bait, whether it's like a dog bone or whatever, and then he turns around, they suck it down real quick. And that's the point where you give them some free line, and then when they turn to go away, you come tight slowly. And the lighter the line, the easier it goes around the corner of the mouth, so the circle comes tight. So I worked on that for a couple months, and I got requisite at it. I was not great, but for an owner, I was as good as any other owner at the time that didn't get in the way, didn't bring an entourage, right? because it was me, Timmy, Roberto, and Cap, and that was it. And so really, Timmy and Roberto were so quick that they caught most of the fish. And I stood there on the outriggers and was not miserable because Timmy and Roberto were pleasant men, but for the entire year, I was fish out of water. I was not really I enjoyed winning and I enjoyed the success, but I was not materially participating in the sport. We achieved great success. We went on, we practiced hard, and then we fished the Bacardi, which was, I think it was the 32nd Bacardi tournament, and it was over there in Freeport. And we ran from there clear to the pocket in a boat that did like 26 knots on the pins, right? We didn't have much time to fish, but we ran clear to the pocket in this slow-ass boat, and we caught enough to win the Bacardi. First tournament we fished all together. And then the BBC started, so we moved over to, I think it was Treasure Cay at the time. And it was, if I'm memory serves me, I think it was a five tournaments, 4 days a tournament, something like that. And so we started fishing the BBC, and we put the dredges out. And I think maybe Junior Davis had just started like experiment with the dredges. I don't think he was pulling plugs. He finished second to us that year, but on the way paver. But pretty much everybody else was pulling plugs, and we basically cleaned their clock. The only day we didn't weigh a billfish, we lost a water pump.
You said weigh a billfish?
I'm sorry. The only day we didn't release a billfish in competition was the day we lost a water pump, and we caught a slam with extra blue marlins that day. We were literally stern to stern, as rough as hell, and it was down off of, it was the Harbor Island tournament, and it was rough as shit, and we were outside of the north end of Cat Island, fishing that north point, and we got them that day, man. And on the way in, the water pump gave out, so we were not going to make it in on time. So they give me the camera in a Ziploc bag, and they back up to John Paul at the time, and he was on the boat called the Committed. And we go stern to stern, and Timmy hands me the Ziploc bag with the camera in it and says, "Go." They want me to jump in. It was rough as shit, okay? Because it was so rough, you couldn't back up and just jump on the guy's
boat. The boat wasn't going to make it back, but as long as you
was going to make it back, but if the camera made it back on time, that's what we were fixing to do when another boat comes along and says, "Oh, whoa, wait a minute." They called on the radio and they boo-hooed because they knew we got them, right? And they shut it down and said, no, that ain't cutting it. And to be honest with you, I was willing to jump in, and I had to take anything to do to win. But that particular scenario right there, look, they didn't give it to me for no reason. Nobody else wanted to do it, right? So anyway, we ended up taking a 0 that day. Was the only day we did, and we came back and finished second in that tournament. And that was a hell of a feat. Because we lost an entire day and a great catch that day, and the last day we ended up second in that tournament. I was proud of that, man. But we won or finished second in each of the tournaments in that series that year, and ended up with 12,000 points and broke their all-time record. And but along with success, Matt, comes humanness, right? So we finished the BBC, and we're driving. We left the last BBC, and I said, "Cap, look, take this thing to Nassau. We're going to have a big time." And on the way there, me and Timmy dumped out the loot, because back then it was all cash, right?
Yeah.
It was all in paper bags. And so Cap's steaming the boat along, and me and Timmy, this was our job at the end of each tournament. We dumped all the money out on the dinette table, and we counted it, and we did our split. And so Timmy and I dumped out the whole mess from the whole season. We just dumped it all out on the table, and we counted up an insane amount of cash, and it was one of the best memories with Tim Lanahan.
Oh, yeah.
It was a great memory. But so we get home after that. We get back to Fort Pierce, and we're packing up to go to the Northeast, where all the bigness of all that goes, and we're all confident, overconfident. And the devil comes in, and we're arguing about the future cut. Right, I remember to this day, dude, we're talking about the split of the money we ain't even won yet, and how it's going to go. And so, along with success comes, humanness, like I said. And so anyway, we go up there and just bombed out. We didn't do squat, and we got what we deserved for being overconfident, and the whole program fell apart. I made a great mistake of my life up there, and then I ended up leaving the boat, left everything there. And Paul Mann was kind enough to do some work on the boat, look after it for me. And then I ended up kind of moving on. I was never comfortable. I like to drive. I don't like getting taken for a ride. And but being an outboard fisherman, I enjoyed the time with Captain Timmy. I learned a lot about, I got on the boat, I didn't even know how to crank it. Fished it for a season, won it all, and I still didn't even know how to crank the damn boat. And it wasn't me. And so I decided, I went off hunting and I started thinking. And at the time, Christian Springsteen and I have been friends for a long time. And he was working his tail off as a mate for some guys. And so I called Christian and said, hey, buddy, let's put together something unique. Let's take this rig and me and you go fish. And me and you go learn how to do it together. Because Christian at the time, he was no great captain, mate.
This is just the two of you.
It's two of us. Yeah, so what I dreamed up was I was out hunting, and I didn't realize this was going to turn into the two-man program. But I said, Christian, go to North Carolina, fetch my vessel, which I don't even know exactly where it is. It had been through a hurricane up there in some boatyard, and Paul Mann had done some work to it. Go find the boat, get it back to Fort Pierce, and get it ready to go to Chub Cay in February, and find us somebody to go with us. Because at the time, I thought, you got to have at least 3 people. But what I knew was, I come from an outboard. And my success in outboard fishing in the mackerel days was less people. So
for many years, it was just you and Matt Pittman, right?
Just me and Matt. Yeah. Yep. And then it was me, Matt, and Anthony. And many times one of them couldn't go, but 2 of us. And I enjoyed less people on the boat because if it, like the saying we have to this day, if it don't help catch blue marlins, then we don't want it. And so I figured out from outboard fishing, I like to drive, but I like to fish. And so me and Christian gets the boat ready. He hired Captain Moon to help him captain it from the Outer Banks down to Fort Pierce. Got all ready. I showed up in like January. Looked at the boat. Christian said, hey, man, we're all good, Cap, but I just can't find anybody to go with us. And we ended up getting some random off the dock. And so we take off over to Chubb, and we set out in a similar, what I did was I said, Christian, copy everything that Tim did. Exactly. The same color halyard rope. Like Christian had a white halyard rope when I showed up. Timmy had black ones. And I had a fit on him. I said exactly.
Don't change what's working.
Don't change nothing that this man did. I don't care if you don't even know why. But it's all under the couch there. It's years of knowledge. Use exact same shit. And Christian went with it. He wasn't too proud. And so we go Chubb and we start fishing what's now it's basically the owner as the captain and 2 mates. And I enjoyed it, Matt, but I wasn't fishing. I run my, because Cap, we had already bolted the dredge reels, which at the time were 2 crystals above the wheel, and then 2 50 wide hand cranks. So that was already there. So by default, I'm running the dredges and the chains. And so, and even like this was only the following year. So this has been 2012. There still weren't many people doing this, especially for fun, just fun fishing. They're out there pulling plugs. And so there really wasn't like everybody running around with LPs in the cockpit. Matter of fact, there was no LPs pulling
no LP,
anything. Yeah. There was, it may have been out doing something, but it wasn't pulling dredges yet. And so and back then we were pulling 1 bar and a half. We're pulling an 18 pack and maybe a one in the middle out back there. So anyway, we start doing this, and I'm, as you know from fishing with me, I'm very excitable. A lot of people,
understatement.
Yeah, a lot of people don't understand this about me. But if it doesn't go well, I'm going to react to that situation. I'm going to be fine in 5 minutes. But while I'm reacting to it, a lot of people just can't handle that scenario. And so what happened 2 or 3 weeks in, the random, and I don't even know the gentleman's name to this day, but that Christian found a fish. He quit and went home. And now it's just me and Christian. And so I said, he's like, what are we going to do, Cap? I said, Christian, here's what we're going to do. Damn them outriggers. The rigger baits are a waste. You spend more time clearing them and servicing them and all this shit. And somebody's got to stand there. It's hard to hook the fish. Give me a rod. I want a fish. He said, well, Cap, you drive the boat. You got your dredges, your chains, and one fishing pole. And by the way, we just took 2 hooks out of the water. And so now we got 3 hooks. And you'll do all this.
And 2 people.
I got it, Christian. And so me and him fished the rest of that season. And there were some frustrating times. You get behind easy when there's that much shit to do, especially for me. It was my first year doing this, the first year running a big boat. In Chubb, it wasn't hard to figure out the fishery. I'd fished there enough. I knew where to fish. But you got to kind of steer around people and stuff. But we held our own that year, and I got right excited about it. Christian wasn't as excited about it because it was a lot of work for him, rigging all the bait and stuff. And I was still the owner. I didn't take on the responsibilities that I do today. I'm the owner, but I'm also the captain. And it's my job, the engine room and all. I do the captain's job and the owner's job today. But back then, Christian did a lot that I didn't even know needed doing. And so anyway, that was 2012, and 2013 comes, and I get back from hunting, and we go to take off, and now we got a schedule of Chub Cay, Cat Island, San Salvador. There's 3 stops on our tour, and we start setting goals. How many fish in our season from basically the 1st of March to kind of June 10th-ish can we catch in a season? And so we set the 100-fish goal. And that year, I believe we catch in the 60s, 70s. Me and Christian, he brought, we started out with 3, but 3 lines. I never put riggers back out of my boat, rigger baits out of my boat after that first year. Now I'm fishing and I'm driving. And so I feel like
fishing from up top.
Fishing out of the belly band up top. And what people don't realize in these sport fish boats, a lot of owners, is even to this day, they don't realize what a great platform that is to swing at them. We call it that in the cockpit, right? But you're down here. Up there, it's a great view. If you go up sea, down sea, you don't have to worry about side wind. Now, when you start tacking less than up sea, down sea, you got wind to worry about. So when you dump to the billfish, your line goes over here in the chain or the dredge. And so sometimes you got to thumb it and stop it, and you're going to miss the fish because of that. So, but back then we were just bites of opportunity. And in the Bahamas, Matt, the reason this program still works to this day in the Bahamas, I use the double-digit threshold. If you go somewhere and it takes double digits to win the day, you're not going to win in the two-man program that I've kind of invented. You're gonna be somewhere down the line. But under 10, 9 or less, I am as effective. I'm 100% convinced. My two-man program with only 3 hook baits and very handicapped on catching doubles, I'm still a threat to win the day with single digits winning most of the days. And
in the Bahamas.
Yeah, it's the Bahamas. My ocean's kind of small, Matt, because as you know, me and you whitetail hunt together, and that is my passion. If I've had to sacrifice before, is hunting or fishing going away? Fishing's always gone away because I can always buy another boat. But whitetail land is so hard, and we can talk about that in another segment, but fishing comes and goes easier than whitetail deer hunting when you're doing it at what I call the apex of the species. So I rock along there with the first Zeus, and we fished, me and Christian fished 3 seasons.
And this was fun fishing. You're not worried about the tournaments at this point?
When I left the Northeast, the year we won everything, and then we went up there and fell apart, that was, I said, you know what, I've had it with tournament fishing. Yeah. I won all the money a man could win in the BBC thing, and it still went away. There is no money,
right?
And I don't drink. I really don't party. I don't like other people. I like my dog. What the hell am I around all these people for? Okay, I'm just not a social creature, and so I don't like the party, and so I didn't need any of that shit. So I just treated every day as a tournament. Matt, I've had a lot of people over the years go fishing with me. And on many occasions, they might look at me on the outboard on the big boat and say, Cap, Sandy, this isn't fun.
I've been one of those guys.
You've been one of those guys. And I pipe out the same thing to them. I ain't here to have fun. I'm here to get them.
Yeah.
We can have fun back at the dock. And you do whatever you want, but I ain't here to have fun. I'm going to get them. And I don't give a shit how miserable I am. I don't care how rough it is. I just want to get them. I'm going to go fishing. And if I'm going to go hunting, same thing. And you've done it with me, shit, now more than anybody on the planet. But that was a quest we went on, and I learned it. I refined the program. Each year, Christian took a third man, and not once did the guy make it through the whole season. So the two-man program came along, but then I ran into not financial ruin, but every man, I was in my 40s back then, balancing things. And so the whitetail woods, growing the Midwest while
you
having
had a place in Alabama.
Yeah, I had
too.
my huge high fence place in Alabama, just eating money, and I was growing a place in the Midwest, and I was 100% convinced that whitetail ground was just going to explode in cost, and so I sold the boat to grow the whitetail thing, and I went whitetail only for 3 years, and I bought a significant amount of land in the Midwest that to this day has proved to be a great decision. But I did nothing but hunt, and I really miss fishing. You need a balance. And it did. I got so singularly focused, I wasn't a sportsman anymore. I was a hunter and pretty much a killer. And I do both of them as a passion of fun. I don't make money at either one. And so
they cost money.
It costs a tremendous amount of money, but you better get your money from elsewhere. Because as you know, hunting for profit doesn't exist, and fishing for profit really is short term, and commercial fishing is the hardest thing on the planet to make a profit at. So 2017, I buy 60 Scully. And I set out at that point, right out of the gate. I said, look, by then, see, Christian, I was out of fishing. He's gone on to be a great captain. And he's helping me with my boat, but he's taking care of it in the off season. But then when I come to take off, and I think by then we're leaving in late February to start. Our season started March 1, and so he would find me my victim that's going to go fish with me, and he'd get the boat ready, and then off we went. Off me and my one guy went, and so now it was a two-man program. And the first year on the Scully, 2017, me and Alex Anthony caught 100.
Did you really?
We did. This guy.
How many days of fishing?
60. Man, I want to say it's like 62 days of fishing or 46.
Cat, Sansal.
Yeah, we went Chub Cay, Cat Island, Sansal. And I know there's a wide range there, but it was 46 or 62 days of fishing. We caught 100 billfish, and 50 of them were blue marlins.
Wow.
Yeah. And Alex, I tell you what, I still look back, man, that guy, he didn't know squat. When he left to go with me, he was not terrible at it, but he was challenged. And by the end of it, he was good at it. And he was good at taking my crap and putting up with me. And you can imagine 2 men on this vessel. We would back in, Matt, to our slip at the end of the day after a good day, right? And guys would come down the dock, like the owner from down there. He'd say, man, where's your crowd? And I'm back here cooking, right? There ain't no crowd, Where's the owner? We ain't got one of them either. We got the captain and the mate, and that's it. He said, how the hell you do it? How you do that? He said, I got all them people down there and stuff. I said, hey, you own that boat now. That's a beautiful boat. I see you out there sitting back on your mezzanine all day, I said, do you go in? I said, the thing costs a lot of money to run. You got all these people hired to do it and all. Yeah. I said, just sit out back there. You go in your work, just sit on the couch in the welcome area. No, run the show. I said, well, why don't you get on your boat and run the show? I see too many people that don't get involved. Man, it's kind of like the hooking them. I wasn't very good at it when I started. I had the world's best angler, Tim Lanahan, telling me how to do it. And I still pretty much sucked at it after winning a lot, right? It's just because they were good at it. Then I know People get into bill fishing and it gets in their head. How do you hook them? And you got all these experts on the boat telling the guy how to hook them in real time. It's set up for failure. No, it's just fishing. So when I put myself on the bridge, having never done it, never watched it, no expert going to tell me how to do this, because to this day, I don't know anybody. There's captains that have a bridge pole. They're kind of charter fishing and stuff, but there ain't nobody up there really swinging at billfish. So
walk me through it real quick.
Yeah.
You're rolling along, teaser gets hit, so you bring the teasers in, right? Dredges come in, and you're pitching the fish from up top
So
on
when
the
I'm
belly band.
Yeah, what I'm doing, Matt, I've got we set out. Okay, the mate throws dredges overboard. I gotta adjust them. Throws chains overboard, and we have a system with two men. If he grabs the right chain and throws it over, he just says right chain. Now it's up to me. But if he throws it over and doesn't say anything, he gets barked at because it's spooling out. And I'm driving the boat. Now you got the damn sonar thing. But let's just go pre-sonar days. Mate throws it overboard. He may look at me and see if I'm ready, but he pretty much throws the dredge or the chain overboard, and it's up to me to put it in place. And then the first rod out, if I'm still adjusting my chains, he'll look at me and he'll just set it in a flat line. But then when I get to a peaceful spot, he'll grab that, pop it out, and he'll hand it to me. And so I set my bridge pole about 3 flat line distances back, and it varies if it's rough or calm. The rougher it is, the more I got to space it out. The calmer it is, closer it is. So we started doing this. And so we're actually pulling 3 baits. There's one in the back center, and there's 2 flats. Matt, what I noticed quickly was that thing gets bit so much, it's unbelievable.
The center bait.
The center bait. And plenty of times it gets bit when the chain didn't get bit. You know, there's fish that come in. I troll at the faster end of the range compared to everybody else. Just the faster end of the range. But there's fish you know full well that swim in, and they don't get it jacked up enough to eat the chain, and they fade out. Well, when they fade out, common sense would tell you they probably fade kind of straight back for a ways. Maybe that's not true, but it's my assumption because fish come in and they'll fade out, and you got rigger baits way out here in flatlines. Well, if they're fading out, they just come in, fade out, and we don't know. And I've seen this from Joe Trainer on the over-under charter boat guy, from Jersey Joe. He did a lot of dredge cam footage. We used to watch it in Cat Island. And so I started thinking, you know what? My bridge rod is getting hit when the chain isn't, because that fish is coming in, he's fading out, but he is not. It's a predator-prey response. He is not going to let that one ballyhoo come right by his head without eating it or without killing it. And so what I started doing was I run a real tight clip up on the bridge. I don't even want the first bite, because you don't, like if you're in the cockpit, right? The left teaser. Guys grab the flat lines, or today they may just stand there and hold them all day, okay? But they're ready for the bite. I'm never ready for the bite. I'm driving the boat.
Dredges,
I'm doing shit, right? And so when something hits my bridge pole, it'll pop it out of the clip, but it pulls it enough, pop it out of his mouth. Now the fish will roll around. Now he's swimming up behind it. Perfect bite. I want a billfish swim up behind it. This is like hunting. When I left listening to people tell me how to hook a billfish and just depended on my instincts of a fisherman, whether it's fishing for trout, flounder, whatever it is, fishing with Captain Pittman, right? Guy was the best well-rounded fisherman ever walk. Maybe I was better at bill fishing, okay? Arguably better at mackerel fishing, probably not. But at bill fishing, I just took, when nobody was telling me how to hook them, and I'm on the bridge, and I just experimented. And I used instincts of being a fisherman. I think everyone would be a better billfish angler, even the novice, if they just fished as if they were trying to catch a bass in the retention pond and just did feel and learn from their mistakes and not have experts telling them what to do in real time.
Because if you're up top, nobody's over your shoulder.
Nobody's over your shoulder.
Yeah.
Now, it doesn't hurt at night. We sit down and say a prayer over dinner, and, we talk about how it went that day. I used to talk to people in real time how it was going. It was not effective. But as I've gotten older, I've learned, hey.
Been on the other side of that.
And now you've seen a little difference in me.
Yeah.
You know,
New Sandy.
we hunt together a lot. We don't fish together a lot. But what guys have noticed from me that fish with me now, and they're always different people, but we sit down at dinner and I say, hey, you know, that didn't go well. Let's talk about it. And we talk through it. And I may give them a little guidance, but it ain't in real time. And it ain't even an hour later. It makes them be able to engage the fish and don't have people, he's all over you, he's all over. That's what they do bill fishing. No, treat it like fishing. So I got up there and started just applying fundamentals of being a sportsman. How do I get better at this? Well, you don't shoot a giant buck as soon as you see him. You don't take every shot. He's got to be perfect, especially bow hunting like I do. So what I learned bill fishing was, hey, just because he comes in and he bites doesn't mean I want that shot. He's coming crossways. So if you've seen the billfish come up and eat the teaser and he's falling it in, right? And Cap's pulling the chain in or teaser as fast as he can. And when the thing gets out of the water, the billfish rolls out and comes back. Sometimes he takes a narrow tack and he's coming at the bait at a 45. You're going forward. The boat's going forward. He's coming at a 45 this way. You got to be so fast to hook that fish. You got to be Tim Lanahan, right? And he don't even want that bite. Now, maybe he'll decide to take it because he's good enough to hook it. I'm not taking that bite. I'll pull away from him. I don't want that bite. Most of the time, fish will roll back around. Now he's coming up behind. That's just like having a deer broadside. When he's coming up behind with his mouth open, help him out, they call it. I tap, tap, tap. It's in free spool, and I just tap my thumb on the spool, and the bait's still swimming, but it's slower, and it goes right down the hatch. And now, as soon as the thing turns, I don't do the big, long drop back. I don't, because by the time I'm going to drop back to a fish, if I got my bite, as soon as he turns and leaves, I just come tight real slow. Coming tight slowly, in my opinion, is more important than this super long drop back. Because the longer the drop back, you got waves and shit, it gets wrapped around his bill. I'd rather come tight or not and get what I got and get another shot. So I learned all this from being at peace up there. And
walk me through. You hook him. Okay, he's jumping.
Yep.
Do you fight him from up there, or do you hand it down?
No. If my mate has hooked one too, and it's pretty rare, okay? So if I come tight, the first thing I do, I set it in the belly band, and now I'm bringing in dredges and one chain. Because what most scenarios, Matt, he ate a chain. Chain went off. Okay, so I got one chain coming in, but I have immediately grabbed my bridge pole. So I was busy before with two hands. Now I got one hand. I'm doing everything with a rod in my hand. Because if I got that rod in my hand, I may not see him, but I can feel tap, tap, tap. I'll feed it. But if I feel a big pull, I won't even let my thumb off. I mean, rarely with a circle hook will they pull it out of my hand. But so I'm trying to do everything in one, and I'm watching what's going on. A lot of times my mate, when that chain's coming in because the fish hit it, he didn't come on my rod first. He's on the flat line. So my mate is either coming tight or is tight, okay? If I see my mate tight, then I'm reeling in, but I've also started my other three units in, which are the two dredges and the other chain. They're coming in now. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to clear my line. If I get bit, I'll hook.
With two guys, one fish is plenty.
Well, it's all we want.
Yep.
All we want are singles, because single digits win the day. Catch them one at a time. I go straight forward. I go straight back. Now, if it comes up and it's a white marlin or a sailfish flapping around, then I'll arc my boat into a turn to put some belly. I like to put some string in the water. So that way, especially with the white marlin. Because here's another thing, Matt. Jumped him off. Now, you didn't hook him. With a circle hook. Now, professional anglers and great captains will argue with me. But on my boat, you hook him or you didn't. There's only two ways. You don't jump him off. If with a blue marlin, like we hook a blue marlin, and he jumps around, flops around, we got requisite drag, and we back up, try to catch him. When we go straight up and down, full house, full drag.
Harness.
Put in the harness, as much drag. Now, we use TLDs, okay, so we put 22 pounds of drag, maybe 18 pounds probably at full house. That's all we got on them. And if we pull the hook in that scenario, We didn't hook him good. And rarely do we do that, but every now and then we do. Every now and then we have a tackle failure. But what we're trying to do is catch singles quickly. And that's what we want to do. But in the case where the mate missed him or the fish rolled out and ate mine, I'm tight. It's in the belly band. I can't give it to him yet because he's got to clear his lines. So I'm still going forward. My fish are flopping around back there. It's in the belly band. I'm reeling all my shit in. As soon as he gets his flat lines in, I'm pretty much going to slow down and hand him the rod. I grab the rod and I just hand it down there to him, start backing up. We catch the fish. We go forward, set all our shit back out. And that is the, in my opinion, it is a super effective way to fish. It's a challenge, though. It's outboard fishing on a big boat. And you know what I do with the season approach. We did catch 100, me and Alex. And then the following year, we were at 80-ish. And I woke up one morning and I didn't see my mate out back. This was Skillet, I called him, Wyatt. And I beat on the crew room door that morning. It was a grind, Matt. It's weird. It gets rougher. You know, you go further south, it gets rougher. Sensal can be a rough-ass place to fish. So you're grinding out, it's rough as shit. And we've been fishing all season. And so I beat on the crew room door. Get up, get out there, rig our shit up. We got to go fishing, you know. And I go in there and read my book. I try to get my mind right every day. I read the good book every morning for a little bit. And there's no why. What's up? So I open up the crew room door. He's gone. All the shit's gone.
I heard about this.
Yeah. And so I walk out back. I look down the dock, and they're all laughing. Oh, Johnny down there on the Real Easy and everybody, we got your ass today, Cap. Your mate, he left with Manny on the outboard.
He slipped out in the early morning, didn't he?
Yeah, he left at night. Packed all his shit up and got on the outboard and went to Miami, went home, didn't tell me a word. I'm standing out back. I'm so damn angry, and they're all laughing at me because we were getting them. We were sacking their ass up over there. And all these guys, man, there's 2 guys on the boat. And it's putting pressure on the crews because when the owners fly in, we're waxing their ass. Owner flies out. He's chewed them out. He's like, there's 2 guys down there beating our ass, and all y'all are here. You get your shit tight. I'll be back in a week. And so they come down and say, hey, man, what the hell you got to do all this for, man? You're making it hard on us down here. I don't give a shit. I mean, it ought to be hard on us. So anyway, so they got me, right? I'm sitting there right by myself. And I said, you know what? I'll be damned. I went up there and I cranked my boat up. And the way you're tied in the slip in Sensal, the front, the pylons are so far back, it holds you in. So I said, you know what? I'm going fishing right by myself. I'm going to go catch a blue marlin by myself. And this would have been June the 3rd of 2018.
18, yeah.
So I untie my boat, and I steam out the cut there at Sensal, and you're in the lee, you know, behind the island. You got about 6 miles down to Sandy Point where we mostly fish. And so I turn the boat, and I just kind of, I'm idling down that way thinking, okay. So I just put it neutral. I went down looking at the bait. I got nothing rigged. And Matt, unlike most good captains that work their way up from mate, I went from live bait fishing mackerel to hopping on with Skeet Lanahan, who the last thing he wanted me to do was touch a bait.
Yeah,
he got it. And so I start rigging up a whole mess, right? And it's 9, 10 o'clock by this point. And so I rig up a mess, all right. And I get all jacked up, and I figure out, okay, Sandy, here's what you're going to do. You're going to go down here with Sandy Point, and it's rough as shit today. So in the calm, you're going to go up top and put a little drag on the dredges. Because, you know, if you throw your dredge out and then go up there and start letting it out, it's all foul. As soon as you throw it out, it's got to be spooling out. So, okay, I get all my shit on the deck, and I had 3 5-gallon buckets, and I had 3 rods with the bait on each one in a 5-gallon bucket, and I put them in the tower legs, right, down below. So I could get up top. I could reach the rod tip to pull it up and just let it out. So I get down there in the calm, and I throw one dredge out, and I run up there, and I spool it out to them. I lock it up, throw the chain out, go up, do that. So 4 trips up and down, and I got my 2 dredges and my 2 chains out. I go up top, I get my bait, I put it out. I got my 1 bridge pole, I got all 4. I don't need nobody. So I trolled around there that day, and I didn't catch shit. I fished for about 3 hours, and the first time I brought the dredge in, it was a little ass. Half the mullets had come off, and there was a floss and a pin rig, and I'm like, Sandy, man, this ain't gonna cut it. So I quit. I just stopped right then, and they really weren't getting them that day. I think one boat caught 2, and one guy caught 1. A little slow fishing. So I went in early, and I sat down and applied myself. I called Skeet Lanahan and said, hey, Skeet.
How do I rig a
I
belly?
need some help, man. I need you to help me out here. And so I rigged up a requisite mess. And the next day, June the 4th of 2018, I pulled our first boat out, dude. Because by then they knew this guy can actually go fish. He might not get them, but he can go by himself, so we're not going to laugh at him. I went out that day, and I won the day, dude, with 1 blue marlin. I put my shit out, and I caught 1 blue marlin. Now, my release that day was when the knot hit the covering board.
That's fair. I mean,
I
'cause you're up
from
top.
the bridge up top. I cut the shit out of my hand. I was so excited when I went to cut the fish off. This guy, I had a knife up there planning the release, and I was so excited. I'll detour for a second. Here's what we do on the Zeus releasing fish. Because it's me and one guy, your hands and all, you get beat up. I don't let anybody touch the leader. Because when you think about it, my mate down there, he's also the angler. So when the knot hits the rod tip, that's a release.
Caught fish in any tournament.
Most people kind of back up and they let the mate grab it and they pull it. And you've heard the stories. The snap swivels hit people and all this. And when you're wrapping 60 pound, I mean, it can cut in your hand. So what we invented on the Zeus, we cut it right in front of the reel. Release it right there. All it is it's 5 more feet of line, really, than at the knot that generally breaks. A lot of times it'll break right below the snap swivel. And so the fish is only pulling around a circle hook and, 6 foot of mono. With my program, he's pulling around a little more mono. But the circle hook, the barb is designed to go away in hours anyway.
Yeah, they rust out.
Yeah. So what we do, we cut it right in front of the reel. And because we have 8 rods, generally my 30s, we have 8 rigged up and ready. Well, hell, if you didn't tie any of them, that's 8 fish, right? So a lot of people say, "Oh, Cindy, get behind. You gotta tie a new double line and bimini and all that." So what? So anyway, when I went to release that fish that day, I sliced my hand instead of in front of the rod. I was so jacked up. I'd caught a blue marlin by myself, by my standards. Unaware that if anybody's ever done this on a 60-foot boat. This wasn't an outboard with a trolling spread. This was on a requisite size boat. So when I caught that fish, and I fished around. I fished a full day that day by myself. I come out as the only boat in San Salvador in the Riding Rock Marine to catch a fish that day, and I won the day. And my girlfriend Jenny showed up that day to be my mate for the next day. While I was trying to figure out who was going to help me fish the season, because we were at 82-ish when
82 fish.
Skillet quit.
Yep.
And then I caught the one that was 83, and we're still trying to make 100, and we're running out of time fast. And so Jenny shows up, who, from a mate standpoint, she couldn't even, if I'd have fell overboard, she didn't even know how to put the boat in neutral. She could have picked up her cell phone and called somebody who cares. But she was better than nobody, even though she didn't do anything but sleep. And she did film it. We go up to the north end of San Sal, rougher than hell up there. And we set out. I made me another mess. What I did, I tried to fish every other day. One day I would rig, one day I would fish. And so me and Jenny go up there, and we're trolling around, and she's asleep on the deck down there getting sun. And I hook one on my bridge pole, and the thing starts jumping at the boat. This is a big one. I guessed him at like 4 or 450. So I holler at Jenny to wake her up. She grabs her phone and holds it up, and she's got pictures of this fish greyhounding towards the boat. And I'm speeding up, because I didn't want it to pass me, and it's coming. And she got great video of this thing. So me and her, I had her come up on the bridge, and we caught that fish together. And I was like, you know what, man, Sandy, you probably ought to call it. You caught 84. That was like the 84th fish or so, and probably can it. And then I got a call from Kobe White, young kid, and because I needed more than Jenny to get the boat home. I'm in San Salvador. and I couldn't steam all the way back to Fort Pierce with just her. So Kobe came. We fished a couple more days, and we ended up with 85 that year. But so anyway, China virus comes. Couldn't really do the Bahamas thing, so I sold that rig. And Matt, I felt like, even though I was pretty hardcore, I felt internally I was getting soft. I went to the woods that winter, and I said, Sandy, you have gotten soft. You're on this big boat. You're cooking fine dinners, and you're fishing hard, but really, what are you doing? Could I actually go back and do what I used to do in an outboard? So with the China virus mix and all, I decided, you know what? Don't try to take the big boat and go do things that aren't me. Go back to the basics. So I sold the big boat, and I bought a 31 yellowfin that had sunk. And probably yellowfins certainly got more history, me personally, fishing with them, not more history, but more great memories. Dealing with Wiley, wasn't an easy guy to deal with back then.
No, still not.
It's still not, but back then, man, he was in his prime, right? And I was in my prime, and we bumped heads and all, and nobody I respect more from a boat builder standpoint, but it just had great memories. And so when I thought, Sandy, are you tough enough to go do what you used to do mackerel fishing? The test was going to be getting a 31 yellowfin and just go outboard fishing like I grew up doing. And so I bought a house on the canal. Still got it this day. I call it my beach house, and a 31 yellowfin that you ended up selling for me. And I 3 trips in, I realized back to the basics is cool and all, but a 31 yellowfin, how in the hell did I go out and fish that thing in more than 3 foot?
And you're bringing your dog.
Oh yeah. Well,
Small
right,
dog.
Right. I have
A dog with a lot of personality.
Yeah, my 140-pound Rottweiler and that's my crew these days. It was by myself on an outboard with my dog, and the 3 foot it about killed me. About killed my dog and going overboard and stuff. And so what I did quickly was I bought a 39, and I still have it to this day. Love it. And the challenge of the one man. Even though I was always looking for another big boat to go back to the 2-man program, I got the outboard and I said, I am going to win a significant size mackerel tournament again, but I'm going to do it by myself with my dog. And that was my new quest while I was looking for my next big boat. And as you know, this year, this past May, I was fortunate enough, I signed up in a 80 boat rodeo type tournament, and I won their biggest prize with a 46-pound mackerel right by myself with my dog. One of the, other than catching that blue marlin by myself, because the quest that it took, it's not, people win 80 boat outboard tournaments every day, but not by themselves. And I did it, and this year, Matt, I went out with my dog fishing one line, one bluefish. Thanks to you and the commitment your company makes to making products, I put the tuna tubes that you made in the outboard. I stick bluefish in them. Brian Sutton came and fished, and we caught that great wahoo. But you helped me develop a system to where I'm trolling around out there amongst all these guys, 4 or 5 guys on an outboard and all. I got one line out, and I'm holding it.
Yeah, you can imagine what happens here at the shop when Sandy calls and he's talked to Matt and he wants this and this and this. And, most people here fish. But to be quite frank, your questions are not like the ones that we get from anybody else. It's always something that really challenges a team. We'll have to go fabricate something or whatever, but it's become a really cool exchange because you're willing to try anything and you got some crazy idea and we can make it. And you go out and you'll call and cuss me out about 11 o'clock if it's not working right, and we'll hit it again the next day. But it has become a really kind of fun way to develop, really to help people catch more fish, because we're going to take what we put together and then eventually bring it to market and help people catch more fish, which is our deal. Just one more is the program, but it is we never know, man. You got the phone number about half the people here.
Matt,
We just don't know
Don't know
what's
what's coming
coming.
next.
Oh, they
Matt,
can't
you put
imagine. I mean, just the 30 minutes you were here today. I mean, hey, man, can I have this? There's a wheel right back there. You already stole.
everywhere I look, there's something else. Matt, your company, from back when I fished with you, it was some hinges and some latches and shit. And so now, here's a guy, and I still fish a lot. And I go out there by myself with my dog, right? And I think up these things I need, And it doesn't come from on the line, what's sexy, what's popular, what the group's talking about, and all. This is what can I do to catch bigger fish? And see, I don't represent the whole swath of fishermen. I'm one guy that can only do so much, and so I have to rule out a bunch of shit. But what do I need? But yet, what's cool about Gym Lugs, Matt, is I got a line with your product development team. Say, hey, Brian, can you get me this? And then if I'm thinking about something, I'll call you. But if I know what I need, I go direct to Brian. And he stirs it up. He knows what the limits are. Hey, do I got to go up or is this some small thing? But then he'll create something. And I will take it out and test it and prove it. And a lot of times it may be great the first time. It might not be. But we will perfect something that works for me. And then what's neat about your company is you'll go broke selling shit to people that are fishing by themselves. It just isn't a popular quest. It's dangerous as shit. Most people enjoy fishing. They want to have a good time. I don't want to do that. I want to go get them. A lot of people want to go get them, but they want to have a good time in the process. Matt, I go out there. There's no food on my boat. I had time to eat.
I know.
There's something to drink. Maybe, right? We don't get all worried about what's on the boat to eat and drink. No. We got to have some rods and some bait, and just a few rods to get in the way. But I did that, Matt. Other than catching the blue marlin by myself, winning that outboard tournament with my dog, one of the most significant accomplishments. And I am going to kind of mothball the outboard program. I did catch this year. I fished one bluefish exclusively, and I think I went.
When you say one bluefish, one bait in the water, period.
That's it. I put
because you're by yourself.
bait
You
out
can't
by
have.
myself. Here's the thing about fishing with bluefish. The bait is so big. When a big fish comes at it, that thing moves. It don't want to get eat. And when it moves so quickly. It's right next to the mono. I don't care. In an outboard boat, you're hitting waves. And so your leader can't be longer. Your back hook has to go where the reel seat is. And your leader has to end before the rod tip. Or else you're got your swivel in the guides. And you don't get there and tie your rigs on. No. You got to be ready. Because my bluefish rig has a small J-hook that slides through his nose easy. Because you're never going to hook him on that. And then I got, not number ones, I got 1/0 trebles, big trebles. Just hooking that bluefish on that rig, that's the angriest fish in the sea. That bluefish will eat your ass. And if he comes loose with one treble hook in, now he's hooked to your hand. And I've done it. Skeet Lanahan had to de-hook me from putting a 1/0 treble hook in my thumb when he went outboard fishing with me in a tournament a few years back. But Matt, that approach, one bluefish, I cleaned house on the guys.
Caught your biggest wahoo ever.
I caught my biggest wahoo and I caught my biggest king mackerel ever, 61.4.
And then the next day, I think you went and caught another one.
I caught a 55.
Yeah.
I sacked them up. Big fish this year, mackerels. And I'm not done, but I developed a system. I went live bait fishing by myself. So I put a few goggle eyes out. Started doing that. Back to the basic. Am I tough enough to do this? Well, I got in shape. And I got a requisite size boat. Fortunately, our buddy Wiley built that 39 I can handle it pretty easy by myself. Any bigger and I couldn't. And it can handle, so I can go fish when it's 4 or 5 foot and not feel like I'm going overboard. My dog stays in the boat because it's got freeboard. And then when I put that trolling motor on the front, Matt, it's key because you got to pull bluefish slow. Even 3 engines, 1 in gear is too fast. When I put the trolling motor on the boat, it made a huge difference. And so this year, I perfected a live bait system of catching big fish, whether it's big wahoos or big mackerels. And I went out and won the 80 boat tournament. I'll never sell my 39 yellowfin, but if I'm fishing in it next year, it's because my Paul Man's broken. You know, as you know, I got a 60 Paul man. I rigged it out over last off season and the first part of while I was outboard fishing this year, and I took a 30-day trip. It was supposed to be 2 weeks.
Well, let's talk about that because you had to do quite a bit of work on that boat before you were ready to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Matt. I bought the boat. The cool thing about this was an '01 Paul Mann. When Paul Mann rescued my Dean Johnson, I talked to Paul, and had I had the money, I would have had him build me a boat. Paul Mann, he's obviously one of the best Carolina boat builders, custom boat builders ever came. Tough, seaworthy boat, but from a human being standpoint, like it wasn't 10 days ago. I was standing in the back of my boat with no fuel tanks, no deck, no nothing. I'm in the bottom, and I'm taking pictures and texting him, Paul, because FaceTime is a odd thing for him, and I'm not Mr. Techie. And he gave me an hour and a half of his time. You know, he retired and all, but Paul is such a fine human being, and he builds a great product. I wanted a Paul Mann, and so I was going to wait until I could buy one. And I forget the name of it before me, but it was built as a Delirious. And I bought it from Bubba Simmons up in South Carolina, and he had repowered it. He had gone in and cut the back wall out. It was a box boat, and he had put brand new engines, glass work in the engine room. He had done the part that I didn't want to do. He had put $1 million or so in the engine room. And so now what I had to do, it was a day fishing boat pretty much. The inside was junk. I didn't realize the things, like I did a lot of work to it last year. I redid the interior, did a lot of work. I had no idea after fishing it a month and bringing it home. Now, as deep as I am into that thing right now, right on the way up here, I mean, they still cutting shit out. But
you knew that.
I knew it. Yeah. I'm going to make this boat brand new. One season, but I'm going to get it to an increment each season, and then I'm going to go fish. And so this year I went for the month, and I took the same young fella that rescued me in San Salvador in 2018, Kobe White, and him and his dad went with me for a week. And they said, Sandy, we kind of got to go home. I said, well, I ain't going home. I ain't going. I'll stay here and fish by myself if I have to. And so Kobe got his buddy Corey Brankin. And me and him fished, we fished 16 out of 17 days. I've never done that. On the two-man program, about killed me. And he's admitted, he's saying it was all I could do to keep up with you, Cap. And he came off.
He's a young guy in good shape.
He's 24 years old.
Yeah.
And a brilliant billfish angler. Mate, comes off Locasea, one of the best sport fishing programs ever. Got a lot of respect for Tony. And here I go hire his guy. And I think we're actually better friends than we were before I hired his man. I mean, only the Lord looks after me, Matt. And Tony saw it as an opportunity. He is a little frustrated. He trains these guys and puts them on a program that is very successful, as you know. But Corey was, he fished with me. He saw the passion I have for it and the work ethic. And so me and him are focused on, and I let him make I said, Corey, how many you want to catch? You know, I got him really entrenched in the two-man program. It's different. Not many people are doing this. Nobody that I know is doing it. The two-man program, Matt, to me, is there's a lot of respect, tradition, honor in bill fishing, right? A lot of men do it. I've never been one to try to, I'm participating in the same thing that they're doing. I'm just doing it differently. So whatever I catch that day, I'm not really comparing myself to them, because in general, the owner is really damn good at something, but it might not be fishing. You got to be really damn good at something to generate enough money just to own the boat, right? And so I try to separate myself by being good at running the boat. I'm not as good as professional captains. The sonar thing, I'm adequate at it after a month, but I can't apply enough time to it because I got a lot of other things to do while I'm driving my boat and fishing and all. And so
you're running your business.
Right.
Yeah.
But Matt, should we be able to win the day somewhere with two men, we've done something. Because everybody else out there has more resources on that day on the water than we do. And so I'm taking on a challenge. And then internally, me and Corey, we're not, yeah, we want to win the day, but we're more focused on, we're going to catch 200 now. We're going to start March 1 at your place. And we're going to finish somewhere mid-late July in Turks and Caicos. So we're going to go Abaco, Cat Island, San Salvador, Turks and Caicos, and we plan to catch 200 billfish.
Next season.
This coming season.
Starting March 1.
Starting March 1, and we know it's over about mid-July. I've never been to Turks and Caicos. I don't know anybody that's down there getting them, but I won't go past there. My ocean, I'm expanding it below San Salvador because San Salvador is kind of over about June 15th for the numbers. Mm-hmm. And so what I'm taking a leap of faith is that I can go to Turks and Caicos, hopefully in the mid-180s and need only like 20 more fish. And I don't even know if I could do that. I don't even know if they're there, but I'm going to try to have another stop down the line there's a season because whitetail season's coming. So I can't start really before March 1, and I got to be done. So I can't go on down like DR.
Right.
And all that. That just isn't me. I'm going to pack it into a season, and Corey is bought into instead of tournament fishing, he's bought into hey, no glory. There ain't no glory on my boat. We get them, we don't. The apex of our season will be when it's over, and we will have caught X many fish, right? 200 or 180, 160, 120, or whatever it is. It'll just be me and him when we fill the numbers in on the flag. There is no glory. There is no crowd. There is nothing. Can you actually go do something for the passion and the desire of doing it? It's incredibly hard. You do it. The resources you spend and all your men, it's incredibly hard to do this. But to do it with no glory, so to speak.
Yeah, I don't know of anybody else that's doing a two-man crew. I've never heard of it, on a regular basis, bill fishing.
It's the same guy
it's exciting.
Right, sells a 60-footer and goes and buys a 31 yellowfin and actually thinks he can do it.
Right.
I thought I could do it. I couldn't. Yeah.
Could we talk about your fishing system? Because you really put some challenges on the team here from a fabrication standpoint. You insisted on having both the dredges and the teasers up top. We spent a lot of time talking about what kind of reels and talked you into the LPs because you'd always had the Daiwas, but they're pretty much gone now.
Yep.
Impossible to get. So if you could tell the story of the fishing system and the other big changes we made this year, obviously outriggers, is something that you were willing to do with full knowledge it may fall off the side of the boat. Now, we had fished 2 years with it, fell off the side of the boat a few times first year one. We were fishing with all 3D printed hardware, all carbon fiber inlaid plastic, basically. So by year 2, we had it pretty well dialed in. I felt pretty good about it, but I'm not lying, man. I was nervous as hell because I fished with you, and I know what you're going to do to this system, and you didn't even blink. You just put it on, and we were all scared as hell. It's the truth. But you made it through the season, and I'd love to know like what worked, what didn't work, what do we need to work on. Any thoughts on the support you got from the team? Anything you can share about you transform the way. There's not many people fishing with a system like this. Matt,
it's a great point of discussion, and everything with me comes with a story, and so I. On my Paul Mann I bought, the only new thing on it was the outriggers. And so with mine and your history, but I was all in. Whatever, yeah, Jim Lux riggers. Matt, I really didn't know if they would work or if they wouldn't. But I did know this. We had already done this outboard stuff. And so the commitment to excellence, right? The system you have in place here, it doesn't really matter what the product is. You have a successful system where you'll develop or listen to input, take a product, make it better, listen to fishermen, make it better, and you'll even take detours from me in something that probably ain't going to lead to profit, but it might lead to a little better, and then we'll get it back over here for the mainstream, because whatever I'm doing will never be in the mainstream. The two-man program, Matt, people will, there'll be other hard asses that say, hey, I can do that, and I want to do it because it's a little different. But the reason I committed to the Gulfstream rigger thing on a boat, that the last thing it needed was riggers, was our relationship. But really, I had no question, would it work? Well, maybe not right out of the box. We'll go to the end of the story first. It's the best fishing system on any boat out there. But, so back when I said, hey, get them rups off and let's put this thing on there. Why? Why did I do it? Because I knew even if it wasn't right, it would get right. And Matt, you got to, they say the old thing, put your money where your mouth is. So you remember our dear friend Captain Pittman got diagnosed with cancer. And so I've told you, Matt, the best man on the planet, human resource, right? It's what you do. You do a lot of things good, Matt, but human resourcing. So what you did for your buddies, you put us all together. And we go over to your island, and you had us over your big place and all, and you had like a new 46 Viking.
Yeah.
You had moved up from the outboard thing, and you had it all decked out, beautiful rig, and you had us all over, and we go fishing, right? And I'll never forget this story. Me and Skeet are in the cockpit, and you and Ron are up top, and there's Anthony Gettler and Matt Pittman, and we're all down there fishing, and I'm standing there on a rigger, and Skeet's standing on a rigger. And it just immediately reminded me of how miserable I was in my 58 Dean Johnson holding a rigger, except I was like elbow to elbow with 7 people. And I'm just getting irritated by the second. And I'm watching some guy throw out something that I wouldn't even have on my... Anyway, it was mayhem. And so I start drilling Skeet about, Skeet, this is wrong and that's wrong, and what are we going to do about this and that? And Skeet was new working for you at the time.
Just started, yeah.
And I could see him over there, dude. He's getting nervous and shit. And he's like, Cap, Sandy up. I said, Skeet, let's change this. He said, Sandy, whoa, man, you got a laundry list of shit. And he's changed it. We're the kind of guest here. And I just started working here, man. He says, can we do this, Sandy? Why don't we, instead of bringing all this up right now, why don't you think of the most important thing that's wrong with us catching fish right here, right now? Because this trip wasn't designed... Yeah, we were going to go fishing, but it's just getting the guys together. Yeah. It had been years.
Spend time with
I don't know if we had ever all got on the same boat. And I was so focused on catching fish. I didn't even see the purpose of the trip. And so Skeet's just trying to keep his job. He's brand new at. And so he pipes out, Sandy, can you pick the one thing that's most important? And at dinner tonight, we'll bring it up. So I thought this was stupid. But I said, okay, Skeet, that's a great idea. It's a good idea. I said, Skeet, will you cover my rod here for me for a minute? Boom, 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 boom. I go up the ladder, right? And there's you and Ron. I didn't like Skeet's answer. So I say, Matt, you got this and this and this and this. Oh, fuck you got your damn things over here. And I found all these problems. You said, Cindy, I'll be right back. So down you went. So I started talking to Ron.
Poor old Captain Ron.
Just me and Ron now. He didn't last 15 minutes. So, Sandy, will you take the wheel for a minute? I'll be right back. Boop, 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 boop. So I'm driving boat. Nobody up there, dude. Nobody want to be around me, right?
Took over the boat in 15 minutes.
I took over the whole boat in 15 minutes. At the end of the day, we run over like a 3 or 4 blue marlins. I think we missed them all.
We caught one.
Caught one. I yelled at everybody so bad, I lost my voice, if you recall.
Yes.
And so the next, I couldn't even, when I spoke, it squeaked. I squeaked. And so y'all all got to laugh at me, and I got what was coming, which was, if I'm not going to shut the hell up, then the Lord just shut me up. And I got to enjoy being around these fine men. But, Matt, I gave you hell about how it was set up, and just like you do, you applied so many resources that the next year,
Well, hang on just a second. One of the things you said that day about the outrigger, you described it as the captain's fishing pole, and I'd never heard that.
Matt, we were up there, and I was trying to convey to you, because you had billfished, and I had done on a big boat. Neither one of us experts. But I said, Matt, we're talking about your riggers, and they were the early Gulfstream rigger. And I said, Matt, you had your chains kind of up in here and stuff and dredges down there. And I said, Matt, picture the outriggers are the captain's fishing poles. You got to fish it. You don't just set shit out and troll around until something eats it and then pull it in. No. Fish. It's the captain's fishing pole. Look at it like that, not some innate object that's just like the rudder or the hard top. This is a dynamic item. And if the chain ain't right, you at the end of the day, you've moved the pulley. You look at it as a fishing pole. And you connected with that. And I think it became part of, and this was just a term that I just piped out, okay? I had thought it many times. I had never really spoke it. But
when you've got your teasers or your chains and you've got your dredges and you've got control of all that, I watched you. You're
I'm moving it.
You're moving them all the time.
And so, Cap, what we did, you went and resourced a requisite vessel.
We changed everything.
Got 'em.
We changed everything. Started with changing the boat because we needed one. It gets rough over there, certainly in the spring, and for us, we needed to fish. We needed hundreds of hours on the water.
Right.
And so we got a bigger boat, and that made a tremendous difference.
But you also beefed up your riggers.
We actually slimmed them down.
Slimmed them, but
we went from 3D printed hardware to machined aluminum, billet aluminum, and we ended up putting flexible position, places where you can get your squid chains where you want them on the rigger, made it ultimately
and you went external.
Flexible. Yeah, and we had previously had all the lines running internal, which is the way all the kite fishermen in South Florida like the center console riggers. So our initial thought was, hey, let's do internal riggers on the sport fish, and that was a lose-lose. It's too long of a run, so you just get too much friction on the lines. So we developed the external rollers and changed boat, and you're my most expensive friend.
Right. But Matt, we talked about this. We do it, and then we go to the whitetail woods, and we hunt the apex of the species. Me and you walk the best whitetail ground anywhere on the planet. But we talk about
every day
fishing, and you're improving it, doing something else. It's being a sportsman. You get away from it. Not just taking tunnel vision counsel. We're talking about things, and you have the ability to stir it up and take some of my input. I'm very narrow. And so when I got my Paul man, I said, Matt, I'm all in. Build me some riggers. We had a choice. I think you said black or white. And I said, build them white. But I want my shit right on top of my head. I tried to get Daiwas. It's a good thing they weren't available, because Brian manufactures these damn mounts for those LPs. Put them over my head. We get the super fast chain reel, okay? Put all this together, bolt it through the hardtop. Some guys that want to look pretty would want it in a recessed box. I don't. But we put that together, and you mount it on the boat, and you think, oh, my God, what's he going to do to this system, And I'm not worried about it breaking, okay? I'm more concerned about where is my out. I don't want everything just way out there for the hell of getting it way out there. I want it in the clear water. Okay, my chain's outboard. I want enough room between my flat line and my chain, but not too much. And then if I'm going, I fish a lot side two, because everybody else is going up sea, down sea. Side two, I don't have as much traffic. I can't look. The one thing I don't have time to do as the captain of my boat is drive the boat, because fishing is more important to me than driving the damn boat. So I stand with my back to the starboard side, looking at the port side. I'm a red light, green light fisherman, and I expect others on the water. Even though we're fishing, we got gear in the water, red light, green light don't work. But if all captains fished red light, green light, we wouldn't have any conflict. You would always know which way the guy's turning. But I'm facing starboard, so I can maybe look in front of me. I can't see anything behind, and I only turn left. I only turn to the left. So now I'm looking back. But I wanted my system to where I could reach everything, but I have to, with my left hand, I have to be able to grab that rod in the belly band. And so you develop a system, Brian comes, you develop the riggers. We settled on some reels. We put them over my head. Skeet and Brian, I can't tell you how valuable. I was like, guys, bolt them up there. And if they ain't in the right spot, we'll just move them. We'll plug the holes. And they studied this out and they nailed it, Matt, right out of the gate. We rig it up. And my fishing system, being a guy that likes to fish things a little further back than most people, and I like to move my shit. If I'm trolling around there, I ain't getting bit, then I'm going to bring a dredge in to look at it, at least far enough to where I can see the pulley and know there ain't no grass on it, and then I'll let it back. And I'm constantly pulling on my chains just to make it do something a little different, because I just think back to all the dredge cam footage I watched with Jersey Joe, and the fish, it just lays there. And you move it a little bit,
Then he gets
maybe he does something. And so I'm used to being busy, and when I'm not busy up there, I'm jacking with my chains or the dredges. I do think I'm going to have to do a little less of that and a little more watching the sonar if I'm going to catch the maximum number. The sonar thing is so dynamic, and Matt, I don't have to, like with my old rups, I had to be kind of ahead of the fish. Like, I don't fish a super light teaser is what people relate to these days. It's a chain with an express on my boat. But I don't fish a super light drag so you hear the click-a-click. I prefer just to see the hole behind it. But it puts pressure on. If a boomerang comes up and gets that express in the corner of his mouth, I don't want him to be able to spool me way out there and then it come out. Because now when he rolls out, he's in the wrong spot. You know, you want it to pull out of his mouth. And so you get the chain coming in, and then he rolls back and the flat line's right there. But when he pulls a significant amount of drag off, the chances of him rolling back in on your flat line in the right spot in there, so I fish a little more drag. Your riggers can stand that, whereas the rups, you're always nervous about breaking them, bending them, breaking cables and spreaders. And, man, here's another thing. I have to, on the two-man plan, I have to hang my chains. You know, the good fishermen, they got a mate that's pulling the chain down and putting it in the boat while they're backing up catching fish. My chains are hanging. So I'm rolling around there, and the chains are flopping around. Many times this year, it wraps around the outrigger. Well, it doesn't really matter. I don't lose the use of that chain for the day because there ain't no cable and spreader to get in the way. I can jack with that thing, and I can get it off and go back fishing. It's a side benefit, okay? But there are plenty of people that have wrapped their chain around their rup, and it's not coming out today till you get back to the dock. Every now and then if you got a tower, maybe you can get to it a little bit with a gaff hook or something, but it's just another advantage. But the strength of these riggers and where I'm able to pull them, just like your engineers. You know, Matt, Chris Martin was the first man to purportedly throw a dredge out. Well, okay, it goes from the reel out there to the A-frame and terminates back here. Well, your engineers say, well, that's ridiculous. 70%
we've had a lot of people say, you're telling us to do it wrong.
No.
But the engineers,
that's the right way, the engineer way.
it's just different, and people don't like change.
No, these guys don't like no change, and that's they've a lot.
We don't have to do it that way. It's just better.
It's better. Yeah. It's clearly better. I'm so open-minded. Shit like that doesn't bother me a bit. You know, but that's the same guy that walks right past my rig and says, "Look, ignore those guys. They ain't doing shit right. You know, you can't do it that way. You know." Okay, that's fine. But y'all use a fundamentally correct approach. Just like in the guy that represents your riggers, is there a more fundamentally correct human being than Skeet Lanahan?
No.
I hadn't met him, right? And it goes right with it, you know. He was part of the guys that rigged it up, like we said, but when he saw the engineer out, so he made me do that. And I said, Skeet, okay, the pulley thing, I got that, because when I had the dredge booms on my outboard, I saw it, saw the brilliant. Yeah. And I saw you go first to the front pulley, and then you return way out there. But then the narrowness, he said, now, Sandy, I'm going to return this line about 1.5 foot outboard of this first. And I said, Skeet, there's no way it's going to work. This thing's going to twist up like crazy, man. This is just not going to work. It's not going to work. He said, hey, go with it for me. And I'm going to go ahead and put your ring out there. And if you don't like it, you can move it out there, but just give it a chance. And I did, and it worked fine.
Yeah.
You know, but Matt, so what I did, I got comfortable with the system. I said, man, this is the most badass captain's fishing poles I've ever had.
Do you have any oh shit moments? Like something gets tangled up or?
Well, the first time the chain wrapped around the rigger, I'm like, I got yelling, and Corey says, Cap, it'll be fine, you know, we'll figure it out. And then boom, boom, you know, and it came off. That was an oh shit moment. But the real oh shit moment, Matt, was when I get comfortable with it. Because, you know, I'm out there fishing. I don't want to break shit. Even if you'll fix it, I don't want to break it because it shuts me down for today or tomorrow or whatever. But I started getting comfortable. I said, no, these things, this is real. These things, they can handle the load. Matt, the first time I had a jag of grass the size of 2 basketballs, right, come on the dredge, and I thought, you know, I got that variable speed, and I got it on halfway. I won't even dare. I still won't turn it wide open. Because, for one thing, I don't want it coming that fast because it can catch me. I got to, you know, yes, it's automatic, going to automatically stop and stuff, but too fast. I got too much to do. So I run it about halfway. So I'm looking back there, and my dredge has surfaced. And I'm doing like 9 knots, right? And my dredge has surfaced because there's so much grass.
A lot of grass this year.
And I went to grab my throttle to pull it back, which is what I used to have to do. You couldn't dare. If you push the button right then on your dredge with my rup, it's certain what the next outcome was going to be. I was going to break something, and I broke rup riggers. Anyway, we won't get off on that story, but man, I went to pull the throttle. I said, no. Boop. I pushed that LP button, and I had my hand on the variable speed dial. When that thing started coming in, I looked at my rigger, and I'm looking at the back bar, and it's not even moving one iota. That dredge is coming in steady. This was a major oh shit moment. Normally the back bar, that thing's shaking and the whole rigger's shaking. You think, man, the whole house is coming down here, so you got to pull back. Just slow down and let it come in. That thing came in, and Matt, I did that numerous times for the rest of that 1 month trip this year. That was amazing. So right there, I realized how strong it was. So it starts getting windy. We're in San Sal. I say, Corey, clip that damn windward chain. Because, you know, I'm running about a 45 now. I'm not up sea, down sea. And it's rough enough to where you really should be up sea, down sea fishing. I don't have any stabilizer thing on the boat. And so, for effectiveness of the sonar, it's better not to roll. You can go like this, but it's better not to roll, but I just can't do it. So I'm 45ing. So on the windward side, that chain is blowing in. Mm-hmm. And, you know, without outrigger baits, I said, Corey, bring that damn halyard down and clip that chain in the long rigger halyard and run that thing up a little bit to get it out of the white water. Let's see.
Because it was blowing in the white water.
It's blowing in, and that's what it's going to do. Yeah. No matter what. And the distance, because your flat line, you know, it's clipped down, and so the line's getting in the water. So it's far enough. It's the wind is not affecting the flat line bait, but the chain cord is 400-pound mono. It's blowing over too close to the flat line. It's not that it's tangling up. I just don't want it that close. Or you can, what am I going to eat here? So anyway, so Corey starts running that thing in just the Black's clip up there. Okay, and we got bit on that chain, and it pops out of the clip, and then it's at the pulley, right? But the rigger could handle that. And so I start saying, man, this is great. I said, Corey, let's get some roller trollers, and let's take that Black's clip off, and let's put a roller troller on our long rigger halyard, and let's start running that thing up, and let's get our chains on out there. Okay.
You know, you about gave Timmy a heart attack.
Yeah. So I do this, and I couldn't wait. As a matter of fact, this is how unprepared I was.
You literally go out there and be like, how can I screw these guys? I mean, how can I do something?
I
fish this thing 30 days now.
Right. I'm over, you know
I'm
me.
I'm going to find a way to break it.
Overconfident. What can I do to push the limit here? But it had a purpose. It wasn't just see if I could stress it more. It was, I had a purpose here. How
You wanted
can
your
I?
chain in clean water.
I want to get at least the windward chain
Yep.
out there. I don't want that thing blowing in. And so we borrowed some roller trollers from Christian because I didn't have any spares. And we put 2 roller trollers on. And he started clipping, depending on what tack we're on, we clip that thing and we run it clear to the damn end. Well, Matt, we got bit. We got bit on that side. And Corey had tightened the roller troller. Because, you know, there's a happy median between not tight enough. Because when it pops out, now you got to bring the whole friggin' mess down to get it back in and send it back up. And I only got one guy down there. So if you don't want to have to do unnecessary shit. Every minute you got to be focused because he's busy. So he's tightening up those roller trollers. Well, sure
He got tired of it popping out.
yeah. So he tightened that
Weeds.
sumbitch down, and now here comes, the grass is so bad, right? And those US 9s that y'all rigged me up with, those things, it's the fastest teaser reel there is. And I'm a firm believer. When that thing gets bit, get it out of the water. Don't try to tease him up and shit like we used to do back in the day. No. Just get it out of the water and go ahead and get that side dredge coming in. But anyway, we had a blue marlin eat, and the roller troller didn't give way. And I'm watching, and so he's spooling out line on the US 9, and I'm pushing the button trying to get it come in. And so I reach up and I grab the 400-pound. And I watched that rigger. So you got your hardtop legs, and the riggers are over here. And I'm watching the scenario, wanting to get my rod in my hand. It's just instinct. Knowing the fish, he's very distracted out here, right? And I got the 400-pound in my hand, and I watched the tip of that rigger come into my view on the other side of the tower leg. It bent clear around, okay? And finally,
Blue marlin's going to.
Blue marlin was pulling chain, but I had stopped it at this point. I got it in my hand, and it's kind of pulling. But what it did in that instant, that rigger bent around in the view of a place that the rigger tip never goes to, ever.
No rigger tips.
No rigger. I've never seen a rigger tip inside the picture window of this hardtop leg and that hardtop leg on the bridge, right? Next time you stand up there, think about it.
Yeah,
That is a hell of an angle. And I saw that rigger there, and then it came back, and it didn't hurt that thing one iota. And we caught that fish. We got chain come out. Because, them expresses, they get in the corner.
Yeah.
And so anyway, we ended up catching that fish, and Corey even come in. He said, Cap, man. He said, man, can you believe that? I said, no, Corey. I can't believe that thing didn't break, dude. And so we became more than confident. My fishing system is the toughest. Now, you make the same product that bolts on everybody's boat. It's the rigger, right? The ingenuity of Jim Lux and what y'all are doing here, even though it's LP reels, and I don't even know who makes the US 9 the thing, but you took all of that and married it. Because your company is that dynamic. It wasn't just a rigger. You took a rigger that you sell and made it work for my boat, my fishing system, of which, there are other captains like Glenn, okay, that wants his chains up here, but most captains.
KP does as well.
Yeah, KP, but we're a small list that want to run the dredges and the chains off the bridge. Now, and most people got so damn many people on the boat. You put the LPs down there, and then the guy that's going to get in the way and miss every fish, you say, hey, man, I got an important job for you today. You need to stand way over there in that corner. And when somebody says, you push that button right there, and, man, that's helping us get them.
Everybody needs a job.
Yeah, well, especially that guy. There's one of those guys on every, 6-man crew. Get his ass out of the way. And I understand that. And sometimes there's shit that needs to be done. Or the cap, he's a professional captain. And he wants the teasers and drive the boat. Matt, a lot of captains are expert fishermen, right? But how many fish did they hook? They'll tell the boss and all the crowd, damn, missed fish, all that. Put a rod and reel in their hands, see what they do. This young man, Corey, came fish with me off Locust A, and they get them, as we talked about. He didn't know what to expect. He came in, eyes open. He's a smart young man. He's fished a lot. and he's heard about my program.
I talked to him about it.
And he struggled a little bit when he first showed up on my boat first day. For what reason? We all have a bad day. I hooked every one of them that he missed, and the ones that he didn't. And at the end of the day, he said, Cap, he come up on the bridge, sat down like good mates do, right? They come up the ladder, they pop up, and they sit right there so they can get down. He said, man, you get them on that thing. He said, I've heard up and down the dock about your system. He said, this is badass. He says, you freaking get them.
Yeah, he's all in. He's excited.
He's seen the dynamic, not just my commitment, but this system that we do. It works. It's not a tremendous handicap, and he's willing to take on the extra work. But Matt, so to your point earlier, the Gemlux system wasn't about, the Gemlux program wasn't about just selling outriggers. It was, this man has this need on this boat, and how can we adapt these riggers, whether it's dredges in the cockpit, whether it's all above head, enclosed knot, over here, there. You look at it from a holistic approach, and nobody's doing that, but all your products that I've worked with you on, whether it was the tuna tubes and the outboard stuff. I just told you out here, that 4 foot to 8 foot gap's one of the most valuable things. Every boat ought to have 2 of them. And you can put it under here and you always got it, but it goes in a spot this big. Nobody's really pushing the limits of fishing products like you are. And you're taking input from all over. And it's good to take input mostly from the sweet spot. From a business standpoint, you kind of want to make a profit, right? And so taking too much input from me on what I need, but you're dynamic enough to see through the short term. Sandy needs this now. How in the hell is this ever going to do anything? But then I may generate something, and y'all tweak it a little bit, and now it goes out, and it can fit for the masses. So look, kudos to your outrigger program. The captain's fishing poles are as stronger than what's out there. But it's more than just the strength of them, Matt. It's less parts, less breakdown. Yes, it's stronger, but it's the company that's behind them that is willing to listen and help adapt something that ain't even their product to their system. And I would venture to say that each boat, there might be a couple that look similar, but for however many sets of Gulfstreams that are out there now, each one of them was dynamic.
Yeah, it's interesting because each captain and each owner, in some cases, has a different way they want to fish. Fishing in the Northeast, doing different things. There's, and we have tried to be receptive to however they want to rig them, and we've learned a lot. We've learned a lot. This is year 4 on the sportfish deal, but the thing that everybody's like, hey, you think they're going to be strong enough? But the irony is a center console rigger, 22 foot or 27 foot center console rigger with a single pivot point on the base or the hardtop of your 39, it's got a way tougher life than the Gulfstream rigger.
It's a single contact point.
Oh, he's out there all by himself, right? And he's got no support. Whereas the Gulfstream's got 3 points of contact to the boat. It's mounted to the side of the boat. So while everybody was, and ourselves, hey, is this really going to work? We knew from what we've learned in 10 years with the center console riggers that the carbon was not going to be the problem, and it turns out to be an advantage in many cases. But it has been a fun project for us, and we're just getting started. Really, I mean, we're pretty excited about what we've got coming for this new year, and the engineers are constantly coming up with new stuff, and my hardware guys are crying because it takes engineering time, obviously, to spend time developing titanium pulleys and all these different things. Then somebody wants a titanium pulley that's a little bit smaller, and we can't shave it down. It's a new tool. It takes some time, but we did the dredge pulleys and the teaser pulleys and stuff, and we just appreciate you. And there's a lot of other captains that are out there testing stuff, and they give us instant feedback because now with Starlink, I mean, poor old Timmy. He gets pinged nonstop.
Anything fails, and it goes everywhere. But the success, like Matt, here's a success. I'm sitting at the dock at Cat Island. There's 2 instances here I'm going to tell you about. The first is I'm in the boat, and I called you when this happened. I'm inside, and you don't really see inside the boat, and there's nobody out back. So here comes some Johnny come lately come walking down the dock with his owner and stuff, and they got their whatever it is over there that they fish on and all their shit, and so they look at my boat, and now my rig gathers a little attention because you got the bigness of 2 LPs and 2 chainmail right there in front of you, and they're like, man, what dinosaur's doing that, But then they look at the riggers, and so they're all standing there right outside. They're from me or you apart, but I'm inside.
You're inside.
And so I grab my phone, and they're looking up. All 3 of them are looking up at your product. And so I took a picture from the inside of my boat, and I texted it to you because it tells the story. These guys were just walking down the dock. Now, if somebody was in the cockpit, they're too proud to do this. But they didn't think anybody was watching. So they got to come look because they don't have it. And they're looking at your rigger. And I could see him. They're looking, and then they're right next door is a Viking with the rough thing, and they're pointing, and they're looking, but then here comes Captain Nate down. So he's got his rups on, and he's fisherman. Captain Nate's fisherman. And now he has your Gulfstreams on. But at the time, I had him, and he wasn't sure. But he knows. Sandy put shit to a test, and he can get them. And he ain't doing it for the hell of it. He knows Skeet's got a great reputation, your company. It didn't take Nate. It wasn't a big bridge because of the reputation of your company. I went out there and got him a few days. Nate had to, it makes sense. When you look at that product, you say, look, it's common sense. Can a fisherman go from what was the standard to your product easily? Yes. Can the guy that wants to look good and is so stuck in tradition and no change? It's a bigger bridge for him. But there's no common sense involved in it, and it's really not about fishing. If there's a hill to climb, it's just because it's change.
Yeah, everybody wants to be credited for the guy that changed the game, but very few want to take the risk for changing the game.
Well, especially in today's world,
Right.
because you fail
It's on
one
the line.
time,
Yeah.
it's all over the line.
Yeah.
But the guys that walked up to admire this, that didn't get on the line. No, the guys standing out, that's a boring picture.
Yeah.
But that tells a bigger story than a pulley that locked up. Man, I came back, 3 out of my 4 pulleys were locked up. Well, part of it was because I didn't rinse them off the whole damn year.
Yeah, Skeet could see till put
Excuse
some
us,
fresh
how
water
about
on
do a
it.
little bit of maintenance here, for goodness sake? Well, Corey wanted to wash the boat one day. I said, Chris, the last thing we're going to do. He said, Cap, that's salt on this boat. We're going to have to take a day and really soap this thing down. I said, dude, this is the last thing you're going to do. No. During fishing season, we rinse the boat off. We got 6-7 months off. You can wash the boat every day if you want. But while we're in fishing season, you ain't soaping this boat down. It's the last thing we're going to do. And now the products, yeah, I should squirt a little fresh water because my job up here, and that's really where the pulleys are, right? But that system, they didn't need the pulley to work. It went right in and out, and I learned a little bit, But I had the old Harkins back in the day, and they couldn't carry the jock strap of your pulleys. But when they didn't work, they told on you because they just broke, And these, the line just slides over them. And the rigger still, it doesn't move. Matt, the most impressive thing is the load that thing can take under speed, and it doesn't even move. It is so impressive. These things have much more capacity. It's kind of like the boat. When it's rough, people say, man, I don't know if it's safe out. It's safe. Can we handle it? Can the man handle it? The boat can handle it. Mm-hmm. You think about it, Can the product handle it? More than we think. And that's a testament to your company and the way you approach things, and you're constantly improving it. So, yeah, the failure comes and goes. You're numb to it. But I know some of your guys, oh, man, it's like bullets. Yeah. It's like getting hit for a bullet. Well, guys, look,
If you don't change anything, then you don't have to apologize for not getting it perfect the first time. And this with anything, a hinge or a cleat or anything that we've developed, it's hard. And it's hard. Every project is 3 to 4 years before it is ready for the regular guy, and the masses come, and then they buy it, and then it's on. But people, there's some people that are willing to try new things. That's you, and do things that nobody else will. And then there's some people that want to wait, and that's fine too. You know, I mean, people spend a lot of money and take a lot of time off to go fishing, and we understand they don't want to take risks sometimes, but we're pretty excited about it, and we'll see what happens.
Man,
So far, so good.
I wish people that went to actually buy products could come look at the commitment that you've made.
We have an open door
This
policy.
facility right here, when you drive up here, I've been here twice, right? And I've seen you guys numerous times because they come out. But just walking around this place with you, pulling in, the commitment that you have made and what you have put back in of what you sell, it's impressive. I pride myself on what I do well, and you've seen what I do in the whitetail woods, and you know, making a commitment to the land, right? You have made a commitment to the products that you build
Fishing,
and the industry, and to fishing, and the people. The fixed assets are impressive alone, but the people are impressive. So congratulations, man.
Thank you. Yeah, we welcome anybody to come here. We're adding more and more stuff all the time because that's where we get the feedback. That's where somebody will, they're not going to come to Miami Boat Show and tell you something, or they'll talk behind your back maybe, or somebody will talk to each other, but we want them to come here and see what we're doing and give us suggestions. We're willing to do anything to help people catch more fish, to help them have a better day, to have a little bit more fun, my priority, and just to have a safe trip as well. So it goes from the plumbing all the way through the tip of the outrigger. So thank you for your time. This has been fun.
Thanks, Matt. Proud to be a part of it.